If you use cold emails as part of your prospecting, then I've got to share something with you. Did you know that if you're lucky, only 4% of your emails will actually get a response? That's not open, that's a response. In fact, the average range is between 2 to 4% on most sales cold emails that actually get a response. And those responses aren't always good responses. They may include things such as, please don't contact me again. Please take me off your list. So the reality is the stats aren't good. But here's what I want to suggest. In my latest book, The Stoppable Sales Prospecting System, apparently that's a mouthful. What I want you to consider is that there are ways with which you can improve that response rate. Okay. And it begins with 4 key areas as it relates to your cold emails. The first area has several elements or several different levels to it. So let's begin by talking about the structure of your email. Okay, so that's the very first area to consider is how you're structuring your emails. Now, I'm going to assume for a moment that you're sending cold emails individually. You're not going into a software program, putting in a script and blasting out 300 emails. If you are, I'd suggest you reconsider that. Now, it's going to depend on what you sell and how you're using email. But here's what I want to give you. Ultimately, the structure I'm going to share, you can test in that environment, but it's not proven to be more effective in my experience. Okay. And I think that'll become more obvious as we go through these steps. So let's begin with the structure. Start with the end reader in mind. Remember, your goal is to get a response. So, what are the elements of your email that will get a response? Well, step one, we've got to get them to open the email and read it in order to get a response. So, your subject matters. Okay. Now, here's some basic pointers around subjects. The fewer words, the better. So don't put a 6 or 8 word subject line in your emails. Preferably it's under 4 words. It's focused on the person that's going to be reviewing or reading the email, and it prompts them to want to open the email. But be careful you're not using spam type words. And you can go online and search what words typically get caught up in spam, but things like sale or surprise or excitement, those kind of emotional words, all in and of themselves, tend to get captured by spam filters. So write a subject that's relevant, but that does not include spam words. Again, you can go online, you can use AI to identify what are some examples of that, but shorter the better. Okay. The second thing you want to consider in the structure aspect is that people tend to read in a Z pattern. They read the first line of the email once they open it, they skim down and then read the last line. If those 2 lines seem relevant to them right now, they tend to go back and read what's in the middle. So for that reason, I suggest your email has a couple things to it. Number one, you've got some white space. So I'm going to show you here in the screen quickly just an example. And you'll notice there's a lot of white space in that email. Okay, that's first off. Secondly, you'll notice the Z pattern. That first line is designed to get you to want to read further. The last line is getting you or informing you of, hey, what are the next steps we might take here? And then the middle is more specific to their scenario. Now, the middle can be a phrase that you use, it can be bullet points. It really depends on what you're selling. So the Z pattern, right, ultimately is what you want to focus on. The top line's got to be relevant. That bottom line has got to talk about what the next steps are. And what's in between has to somewhat spark a little bit of curiosity and stand out. White space, bullet points, all of this will help you. Okay, so there are some things to consider relative to your structure. The second thing I want you to consider is the timing with which you send emails and the volume of those emails. Now, I often refer when I'm speaking at sales events and sales kickoff meetings, I often say this that when we send an email and we get a contact or a prospect's name, we tend to get excited, a lot like when we're dating. And so what we do is we reach out a couple times, maybe even a few times in the first couple days. We don't hear back. And then what do? We give up. Well, it's not really the way you ease yourself into somebody's life that doesn't know you. So there's been many studies done that demonstrate that slowly reducing the time between emails tends to get more responses, opens and then responses, than hitting them all at once. So you might email them today and then wait 7 days, then send a second email, then wait 5 or 6 days, send a third email, then 4 or 5 days. You get the idea. We're narrowing the time between the touch points or outreach. By the time you get to about a month or so, you're going to be reaching out to them back to back. What do you do then? If they haven't responded, two choices. Number one, you move into more of a nurture process that is a longer term, just trying to continue to work on getting some sort of response and keeping your name in front of them. Or number two, what you can do is start the sequence all over again. You can look up the research, but my main key here is your timing. Don't hit them all at once with a bunch of emails. Slowly ease your way into their life. And in order to do so, plan out how many different touch point emails are you going to send to them? Okay. Is this going to be 5 emails? I mean, studies today are showing it takes up to 16 cold touches in order to connect with somebody. Now, I'll talk more about that in the fourth element, but just for now, for email, don't have 2 or 3 emails you send. Have 8, have 10 that you have, and that makes sense sequentially. If I'm to read them top to bottom, I see where you're going with this. So there's a little bit about timing and volume to help you improve that response rate. The next is the content that you share. That content has got to be relevant. And this is why I said earlier, I don't really want you to focus on automating a single message, right? I know sales professionals that do this, and it's like fishing, right? They're putting a hook in an ocean, hoping to get a bite. Does this work? Yes. But what it can also do is take the hundreds of people you're blasting and put you in a spam folder because they move you there because they don't want to hear from you and the content's irrelevant to them. It can also get your domain blocked. If too many people start saying this is spam, that can create a problem. So what you want to do is make sure that the content is relevant to them. Now, if you're wondering, well, how do I make it relevant? Talk to your existing clients. Ask them about the benefits or results they've had from working with you or using your product or your service. And then that's what you use as part of the content. More importantly, you don't say, well, here's the benefits. You say, here's some of the challenges our clients have had. They've worked with us or they've used our product. Here is some of the outcomes they've achieved. Is this something that will be of interest to discussing? Right. So your current clients can help you understand the challenges as well as how your product or service has benefited. And you use that as part of your content to make sure it is relevant to the reader. Okay. If you want to automate, here's a little side tip for you. Take a look at your different prospects and group them. You might group them based on where they're located in the country. You might group them based on the specific industry or business size. You might group them based on their title. Then when you group them, there's a better chance that your content will be relevant for these groups rather than one message for all. And then you can structure automated outreach based on the different groups. Okay. I'm still not a big fan of automated outreach, but I realize sometimes it's necessary. There's a more effective way to do that. The last thing that I want to share with you is this, that email that you're sending, and I touched on this earlier, is something that in the best practice world, and again, this is just something that I've covered off, best practices that have been shared with me that I've seen in play with sales professionals globally, is to incorporate a multi-channel outreach. So don't just send emails. Now, I've worked with companies where email is all they're allowed to use from a regulatory standpoint. If that's your case, that's all you have, so be it. But if you've got the opportunity to share other or use other channels, then I would incorporate those as part of your outreach strategy. You see, all of us have preferred channels with which we prefer to communicate. So I communicate a lot with people through LinkedIn, not as much through email. I know others that communicate a lot through email, don't really use LinkedIn much, right? There's all these different ways. Some people prefer to text, they won't answer your email. And the problem is with prospects, we don't know what that preference is. So your outreach needs to incorporate more than just email. Again, as long as you're not restricted to just email. And you can use things like, and I'm not a fan of cold texting, but I know people that use it and it works very well. So texting, LinkedIn messaging, email we talked about, phone calls, voice messages, video emails, on and on the list goes. And you develop an outreach that touches on different channels because the goal is to get a response. I don't care if you respond to my email, as long as you respond to something, right? So make sure you're incorporating different channels based on your experiences with your prospect that they might connect on. If you want more in-depth, how do I do this? I would encourage you to grab a copy. I am not selling this myself. This is through a publisher. So it's not like I'm here trying to pitch you a book. I'm trying to give you additional steps you can use to try and make adjustments to that cold outreach, specifically email, but hopefully you've got the chance to do something a little more robust. So hope you've enjoyed this video. Again, here's the example on the screen of that email I mentioned. Just notice the structure, the white space, that Z pattern we talked about, and it's designed to be highly relevant to the receiver. When you start to send cold emails in this manner, you're going to find your response rate increases. Now, here's my ask of you. Number one, if you found this video useful, drop a like. I greatly appreciate it. It just helps this video reach more people. That's how the algorithm works, as I understand it. Number two, if you've got a best practice that have helped you close and get more responses through emails, drop a comment down below. Let us know. Let's help everybody be more effective in what they sell. So put that comment below. And last but not least, if you've enjoyed this video and want to watch more, make sure you click subscribe. You'll be notified each and every time I release a new video. And until next time, let's get out there and go sell something. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.